Okay, once again, today's class is very important. So please pay attention. In today's class, we are going to talk about some fundamental concepts in dynamics. And these concepts will be used not only to solve robotics problems, but to solve any three-dimensional dynamical system. So you can work out the dynamics of multi-body systems using the techniques that we are going to discuss in today's class. Now, let me clarify a very important concept that is sometimes confusing. Okay. And let me start with a very simple example. Think about think about a problem wherein you have a pendulum, but the pendulum has a distributed mass. So what I want to tell you is something like this. Consider that you have a pendulum. The problem that we solved in last class was a mass, and this length was L. So mass was at distance L from the pivot. Now the rod, instead of we assumed it to be massless, I'm going to assume that the rod has some mass and that mass is distributed. So now this is the problem that we are trying to solve. This is called as the simple pendulum. And this is called as the compound pendulum. Now, the way we would solve problem like this, I want you to understand this is the CG of the compound pendulum. This is the CG of the compound pendulum. This is where the mass is located. If you compare that with the simple pendulum, the mass is located at distance L. Now, we talked about mass moment of inertia, where I is mass moment of inertia. And that is given as mass multiplied by radius of gyration square. In the case of simple pendulum, when the mass is located at distance L, the radius of gyration is very clear. But understand, the mass moment of inertia is dependent on where the mass is rotating. What I mean by that is, imagine that you have a slender rod. You have the slender rod, and now it is hinged at the center, or it is hinged at the CG. So mass moment of inertia for the slender rod that is hinged at the center is different than the mass moment of inertia that is of the slender rod that is hinged at one end. And the most important observation here is, even though you stick to the basic definition of mass moment of inertia, which is the mass in kilogram multiplied by radius square, that radius is the function of where the CG is located and where the point of rotation is located. So in the case of slender rod, so case B, the slender rod is pivoted at the CG. So mass moment of this guy is going to be mass moment of inertia at the CG. And mass moment of inertia of this guy is going to be mass moment of inertia at O, which is the point of rotation. So always remember this. Mass moment of inertia, that property is dependent on where your point of rotation is located. If the point of rotation coincides with the center of gravity, that is called as principal moment of inertia. If the at some other point, that would be called as non-principal moment of inertia. Let's try to take an example of a body which can rotate in 3 dimensions. So what I want to say is, let's think about an object that can rotate in 3 dimensions. So what we have is, we have this slender rod, and I'm going to show you the CG of the slender rod. CG of the slender rod is somewhere over here. So this is X, this is Y, and I'm going to call this is Z. This is the right hand coordinate system. Now I want you to visualize that this slender rod has 3 dimensions. If this has this dimension L, this dimension say H, and this dimension W. So this is a 3-dimensional slender rod. I want you to visualize that this slender rod can rotate about XX. So I'm going to call this rotation mass moment of inertia about XX as IXX. This slender rod can rotate about Y. So the mass moment of inertia about the Y axis is YY, and it can rotate about Z, and the mass moment of inertia of rotation about Z axis is IZZ. But the most important point is, this rod is rotating about CG. And this is a very important point, and I want to demonstrate it. So if this is a slender rod, or better, if this is my slender rod, then this can rotate about X, this can rotate about Y, and this can rotate about Z. However, please understand, the point of rotation could be anywhere in this 3-dimensional space. The point of rotation could be anywhere in the 3-dimensional space. Depending upon about what point I want this slender rod to rotate, that will change its moment of inertia. But for all practical purposes, the way we deal with this problem is, we always assume the mass moment of inertia that is aligned with the principal axis. So IXX, IYY, and IZZ. Now what that means is, I'm gonna, well, I would actually write this equation real quick, and I'll tell you what that equation means. So what is radius? Radius is nothing but the square of the horizontal distance plus square of the vertical distance square root, using the Pythagorean theorem. Since this mass is distributed everywhere, so think about that, you have mass here, 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 and you have all these masses that are distributed. If I want to find out the mass moment of inertia, what I have to do is, I have to use integration. How would I use integration? For an example, say if I have a mass over here, and then I want to find out where is this mass located. If I want to find out, say IZZ, what I would do is, I would perform the integration. I would perform the integration x square plus y square dm. This would be the mass moment of inertia about IZZ. If I want to find out the mass moment of inertia about IXX, again, it is the mass multiplied by the radius of gyration square. The radius is, say for an example, x square plus y square square root. About x, the radius is going to be z square plus y square dm. And about y, as you can see, that radius is going to be x square plus z square dm. Now what that means is, assuming the cross section is uniform, if I were to find out the total mass is m, then IZZ is nothing but, and I will write that equation down, 1 by 12 m. As you can see, the dimension in x direction is L square, dimension in y direction is h square. If you look at IXX, look at the dimension in z direction. The dimension in z direction is W, and dimension in y direction is h. If you look at IYY, dimension in x direction is L square and W square. So for a slender rod, these are the moment of inertias. Everyone understood this? Any question here? So how do you find out the moment of inertia for practical robots? It is almost impossible to find out mass moment of inertias by hand. You have to use a numerical technique or some sort of CAD software that will look at the mass distribution and use the software and computer algorithms to find out the mass moment of inertias. But the key question from all this analysis I want you to understand is, what is the mass moment of inertia of the slender rod, which is showed on the right hand side, the slender rod which is hinged at the CG. So it's a slender rod. So I'm going to assume my W is equal to 0. So I'm going to assume my W is equal to 0. And what I have is my H is negligibly small. H, L, this is H. This distance is L. Since H is very, very small compared to L, the mass moment of inertia about CG can be written as 1 by 12 ml square. Everyone understood this? Any questions here? Now please understand, if I were to find out mass moment of inertia about point O, the value is going to be different. But for all the robotics problem, this is going to be our strategy. We are going to find out the location of center of gravity of each link. We will find out where the center of gravity is located. We will find out the kinetic energies based on the masses and mass moment of inertias located at the center of gravity. And what I mean by that is something like this. Imagine I have this compound pendulum, and what I want to do is I want to write down the equation for kinetic energy of this compound pendulum. I want to write down the equation of kinetic energy of this compound pendulum. If you want to visualize this compound pendulum as a robot, what it means is you have a robot, and this robot has a link which is not a slender rod, which is not a massless, but you have, this is how the link looks like. And you have the mass which is distributed. So M is distributed. And I want to find out the differential equations of motion. And I'm going to emphasize this one more time because this is a topic where students get confused. Whenever we have to derive the equations of motion for three-dimensional body, first and foremost, locate center of masses or centroids for each individual body. So in this case, we just have one single body. So the center of gravity is somewhere over here. So this is the center of gravity. I'm going to write down the mass moment of inertia at the center of gravity as ICG. So kinetic energy expression, and please pay attention, this is super important. Kinetic energy equation, there will be two components to it. I will always write something like this. There will be kinetic energy of translation plus kinetic energy of rotation. Everyone understood this? So object can travel, object can rotate, or object can travel and rotate. Everyone understood this? Any questions here? So kinetic energy of translation, and there is kinetic energy of rotation. Kinetic energy of translation is nothing but 1/2 mv square. Kinetic energy of rotation, and this is super important, we will always write kinetic energies about Cg. This will be 1/2 I Cg multiplied by omega square. Everyone understood this? Any questions here? Yeah.
Energy taken from the center of the main origin.
I am doing everything at CG. At this point, don't worry about origin. I'm just doing everything at CG. So what I'm interested in finding. So next step. This could be a three-dimensional case, which means I may have to do the exact same thing for the problem that I have shown and drawn on the right-hand side. So what this equation becomes, this equation, and this is something I wrote in last class, will become m velocity in x direction square plus velocity in y direction square plus velocity in z direction square. Do you agree with me? All these velocities are velocities of center of mass. So this is nothing but CG. This is super duper important. Otherwise, the problem will go wrong. It will go badly wrong. Plus 1/2. Please note, looking at the right hand side, mass moment of inertia about each axis of rotation is different. So I'm going to write down something like this. And please note, Ixx omega x square plus Iyy omega y square plus Izz omega z square. Everyone understood this? If you don't understand, ask me now. Yes.
So, sir, that we look at the right side that you're working with, how did we translate the Ixx from that, and the Iyy and Izz from the work that you get on the right side?
Just a second. And now here comes the answer to your question. This is z, this is x, this is y. You agree with me? Now what we are trying to solve is this compound pendulum problem is actually a planar problem. this problem is not in 3 dimensions. This problem is only in 2 dimensions. Do you agree with me? So now I want you to tell me this big equation, this big equation will be valid for any robot. This equation is going to be valid for any robot. So that is going to be our first step when we write down the equation of dynamics. Now I want you to tell me, I have X, I have Y, and I have Z. Do I have velocity in X direction for the center of mass for the compound pendulum? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do I have velocity in Y direction for compound pendulum?
Yes.
What about velocity in Z direction?
No.
Very good. So this guy goes away. Okay. Now let's look at the next line. Ixx. So do I have, okay. Now this pendulum is supposed to swing like this. Okay. So it's going to just swing in the XY plane. Can you see that my omega x, which is the rotation about x-axis, is 0? So this is going to be 0. What about rotation about y-axis? 0. But I will have rotation about z-axis. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
And I'm gonna denote that rotation as theta dot. Everyone understood this? Remember how we eat an elephant in pieces. Whenever you see 1 link robot or 100 link robot, this is going to be your first step. Locate the CG on each and every link. Write down the kinetic energy for individual link. So this is just 1 link robot. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to write down these expressions. So let me write this down. So actually, can I just show you here that velocity in x direction and velocity in y direction, when I square root, that is actually going to be the velocity, this velocity v, which is v square is equal to vx square plus vy square, and that is going to be L by 2 theta dot square. Can I write this down, or do you want me to explain this, how this equation came about? Any questions here? Yeah.
So, okay, so this is with a rotational joint. How would we apply that with a joint that's, am I getting too far ahead? Okay.
Hold on.
Just curious.
Yeah, I otherwise I have to go very slow, and I'm gonna go even slower, because otherwise at the end of the class you will tell me, hey, red car went from 0 to 60 in no time. So please bear with me. So, but for my, trust me, I have taught this about 10 times so far, so I know exactly where you will struggle. So even though some of you may say, hey, that equation looks correct, for my own satisfaction, I'm gonna write this down. This equation came from this distance is L by 2. You have an x component, displacement in x direction and displacement in y direction. So you have displacement in x direction and displacement in y direction. So what you have is, you have L, if this angle is theta, this is L sine theta, L cosine theta, and then what you do is you find the velocities in x direction and y direction by differentiating L sine theta and L cosine theta. Do you agree with me? They become reverse of each other with a theta dot. You square and add, and what you get, sine square theta plus cosine square theta becomes 1, and you are left with L by 2 theta dot square. Everyone understood this? If you were to if you were to write the homogeneous transformation matrix for this link, okay, if you were to write the homogeneous transformation matrix for this link, and we have done that, the only issue here is you have to find out the positions at the center of mass. So if I were to look at the robot joint as I shown over there, what is our usual technique? Our usual technique is we find, say, the H01, my first coordinate system is here. So this is my 0th frame. And this is my first frame. So I try to find out something called as H0, H1. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
But 0, H1 is going to relate from axis 0 to axis 1. But our center of mass is not at axis 1. It is somewhere halfway in between, right? So accordingly, I need to change these values over here. Does it make sense? Everyone understood this? If you don't, yes. And please stop me and ask. Next 3-4 lessons, I'm gonna hammer on this. Because believe you me, if you understand this, then you can do 3-dimensional dynamics for any rigid body. Multi-body dynamics, no problem. Flexible body dynamics, no problem. But only thing is you need to understand each and every step. So here, can you see the mass is located at CG, right? But when we looked at the forward kinematics, how did we find out H01? So 0H1 was found out from the 0th frame to the first frame. Do you agree with me? But I need the position of mass, not the position of the second frame. So position in this particular case and in almost all the robotics problems, you will notice that mass will be located at the midpoint. So instead of having L, you are going to have, and I will show you what you will have. You will have here L cosine theta, and here you will have L sine theta, and here maybe you will have this height, say A. Everyone understood this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay, sir, but we just said that we want the midpoint. So
Yeah, L by 2.
Sine and L sine, is that the midpoint?
No, then you need to divide by 2 because this is what you get from homogeneous transformation. So this is L, but you want this distance.
Right.
So this will be L by 2 and L by 2. Everyone understood this?
So it depends upon the where is the center of gravity.
Center of gravity for robot problem that we can solve by hand, it will always be at the midpoint. If actually what I will do is, let me work out these some simple problems, and then I will actually show you how would you do that in the case of a complex robot. For an example, in the project that you are doing, your robot arm is a very complicated shape. So what you have to do is you have to select each body in SolidWorks, click on inertia properties, and it will give you 2 different types of inertia properties. It will give you inertia properties at the base frame. It will give you inertia properties at the center of gravity. But then you have to make sure that the frame of reference for your kinematic diagram matches with the frame of reference of SolidWorks and use those appropriate moment of inertia. We'll get there, but bear with me for a second. So everyone understood what's happening here? I got the first part. The first part is done. 1/2 m L square theta dot square divided by 4. Everyone understood this? However, we are not done with the second part. The second part is 1/2 IZZ. So IZZ, my H value is very small. So it's going to be 1/12 ML square. So this is 1 by 12 m L square. And what is my omega z? Omega z is theta dot, right? Theta dot square. Do you agree with me? And this is going to be my kinetic energy about center of gravity. Yeah.
Two questions. Where did the 112 go?
Oh, yeah, 112. Yeah, I should be 112.
So it'd be 1/2 times
Correct,
112.
correct. So let me, yeah, I got carried away here. So 112.
And then for
Just, yeah.
the theta dot square, can you explain it again how that we got that again? I'm sorry, I
Theta dot.
yeah, theta dot square.
Okay, omega z is theta dot. The rotation, the angular velocity. Okay. Can you see that is theta
Yes.
dot?
On the z-axis.
Z-axis.
Okay.
You're welcome. Yeah.
The ICC is on the CG, right?
Yep. ICZ is on CG.
But we are rotating on the O.
Okay. Now, basically, that is correct. So, what it means is I should actually show you a coordinate frame, something like this. This is the same coordinate frame at CG. I never ever take I anywhere else except CG. So always I XX, because otherwise you'll land up with product of inertia. You will get an inertia tensor. So that will actually make your life miserable. So this is how it would be.
So theta will be still same.
Theta will be same. Body rotating about the fixed point or body rotating about any other point on the body, the angular velocity is going to remain the same. The linear velocity is going to be different. The displacement will be different, but angular displacement is going to be the same wherever the body is. Everyone understood? Okay. So this is now actually there is lots of stuff that is going on over here. And what I want to tell you is, if you were to write this equation something like this, 1/2 m L square by 4 plus m L square by 12 theta dot square, what you get, and this is very important, you get 1/2 m L square by 3 theta dot square. Now what that is? That is nothing but moment of inertia about O. So moment of inertia about O is actually ml square by 3. So if you have solved this problem, either in statics or dynamics or in any other class, usually what they do is they skip to this step and directly go over here. Any questions here? But I want you to stick to this. Stick to basics and you will not go wrong. Okay. Since we have found the kinetic energy, let's find the potential energy. Potential energy is simple. Potential energy is this distance. I'm going to call this so PE is 1/2 times m multiplied by L by 2 cosine of theta. So potential energy, kinetic energy is denoted as T Potential energy is denoted as V. So I have potential energy. And why my potential energy is negative? Because I'm assuming my datum to be over here. This is my datum. Huh? Datum means the location, assume location where potential energy is zero, the reference. Because if you go above the datum, potential energy is positive. If you go below the datum, the potential energy is negative. But the datum is arbitrary. You can assume datum over here and your potential energy will become positive, but answer is going to remain the same. So now this is the equation for potential energy. Since this is below datum, that is negative. Everyone understood this? Now, with this, I should be able to formulate the Lagrangian T minus V. Lagrangian T is 1/2 m L square by 3 theta dot square, and potential energy is negative. So this is going to be plus. So this is going to be 1/2, and I'm going to say m L by 2 cosine theta. Everyone understood this? Yeah.
Will the potential energy be L by 2 minus 1 minus cos theta?
No.
1 minus cos theta, because the difference in height is not from L by 2 to.
All right. That's why I said my datum is over here. If you assume your datum here,
Sorry.
since you asked, somebody else may have this question. This distance is L minus L by 2 minus L by 2 cosine theta, and then it will become positive. Yeah.
So what is the meaning for this
So what it means is know wherever you take your datum, as long as you write the correct equation for the potential energy, your answers will be correct. You can choose your datum anywhere.
No, I mean this one. They are equal to
This is the Lagrangian. So this is L is called Lagrangian. Lagrangian is the difference between the kinetic energy and potential energy. Yeah.
So just to make sure I'm understanding, sir, the Lagrange, how do you say it again?
Lagrangian.
Lagrangian. Is this how we find the differential equation of motion?
Correct. This is how, once you get Lagrangian for your robot, that's it.
Oh, okay, now I get it.
Okay. But for my own satisfaction, I'm gonna write down the Lagrangian equation of motion. What Lagrangian does is partial L by partial theta dot d by dt minus partial L by partial theta is equal to the external forces or the torques. And you can carry out this computation. Can I quickly do it here? So, and I will do this with MATLAB, but I just want to do this so that for simple problems, you can compare the results what we get from MATLAB and results what we get from hand calculations. So d by dt. Now what is partial? Partial means the all other quantities are going to be constant. So I'm taking partial with respect to theta dot, which means theta is constant. Cosine theta is constant. Sine theta is constant. Everyone understood? And derivative of constant is 0. Okay, good. So this becomes ml square by 3 theta dot. Are you with me? 2 and 1/2 cancelled away. Derivative of cosine theta with respect to theta dot is 0. Plus partial L with respect to partial theta. So what happens? Now here is something interesting you have to be very careful about. So because there is a negative sign, okay, so I need to write this sign here. Don't forget this negative sign. This is going to be M L by 4. So mg, okay, so I made a mistake here. So this is, I don't have mgh, I don't have g here. So mgh, so there should be g here. So m times h g. So this becomes, there will be a g over here. So this becomes ml by 2 g cosine theta. The derivative of cosine theta is going to become minus sine theta, minus sine theta is equal to 0. So this equation, now I need to take the derivative of this guy. Mass is constant, length is constant. So derivative of theta dot is going to be theta double dot, and ml by 2. So minus becomes plus, plus m g l sine theta by 2 is equal to 0. Yeah. Oh, because there is no force. There is no force on this. Yeah.
Sir, can you, G, where did G come from? That came out of nowhere.
Okay. The potential energy is m times g times h. M g. What is h? H is L by 2 cosine theta. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
So what is the meaning of that equation? Like the coefficient of time?
So this is the differential equation of our single degree of freedom robot. Now, what is the meaning of this differential equation?
Yeah,
Like the whole coefficient of all this?
ML square
Yeah.
theta dot square, right?
Theta dot square.
Can you just the partial derivative for theta dot will be
Go ahead.
then the potential. Yeah, should be theta dot.
So this equation is incorrect. Is that what you're saying?
The last part for the potential energy.
Uh-huh.
Theta C theta dot.
It's just a partial derivative. It's not with respect to time.
Okay,
Okay. All right. Okay. Now we are getting somewhere. Yeah.
How come for, okay, for the very last equation, the one
Yeah.
that we, squared off here at three.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we took a partial derivative with respect to theta,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it still sine theta?
Because we took the derivative, we had cosine theta earlier. Derivative.
So you took cosine theta and then it went to negative sine theta.
Correct.
Then aren't we doing a derivative again with respect to t?
There is no derivative. So
No,
t.
oh, I get it. I get it.
So t is only the first part.
That's why. That's why.
All right.
Yeah. No, negative because it's got a negative sign.
All right.
So
Step by step. And I'm gonna do this once. Okay. In the next problem, I'm just gonna use MATLAB. So theta dot is 1 by 2 ml square by 3. Theta dot square derivative is with respect to theta dot. This becomes 2 theta dot. So this cancels. Agree? Next step is d by dt of partial L by partial theta dot. This is derivative with respect to time. Mass is independent of time. Length is independent of time. The only thing that varies with time is theta dot, right? Derivative of velocity is what? Acceleration. So m L square by 3 theta double dot. Everyone okay with this? The next part is partial L with respect to partial theta. Now, can you see when I do partial L with respect to partial theta, the kinetic energy expression has theta dot. Theta dot is a constant. So that goes to 0. Everyone understood?
So why is two better this, to
2x square, derivative of x square is 2x. Derivative of theta dot square is 2 theta dot.
where is two values minus and instead of course.
This value is
Like this two values minus and there's a false. What?
that force is the external force that is acting on the system.
Why is two values can be calculate sexual force?
Using the method of virtual work that we discussed in last class. Remember Jacobian transpose state? Yeah, but we will talk about it later, not here. Just bear with me for a second. So for this problem, external force is 0. So you can say this is 0. But partial L with respect to partial theta, can you see this is theta dot? Theta dot is constant because you are taking partial. So the only derivative that will be m L by 2 multiplied by g. Derivative of cosine theta with respect to theta is what? Minus sine theta. Are you with me so far?
Yes, sir.
Now put everything together. So this, and you can actually cancel out a lot of terms. This is the differential equation of motion. Now, before I start solving the differential equation of motion, I just want to understand that everyone knows what is the differential equation of motion. Differential equation of motion shows the time evolution of state variable. So right now what we have theta and theta dot. So displacement, angular displacement and angular velocity are these two state variables. The only independent variable in this guy is t, so time. So if I solve this, the solution of this differential equation is nothing but a plot between the independent variable and the dependent variable. So when I solve this differential equation, I'm gonna get a function of time, and it could be something like this, some function of time that shows the relationship between the time and the dependent variable theta. You could take the derivative of theta and then it would become t, and it could become theta dot of t. Everyone understood this? Okay. Online students, any questions? Now what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go to MATLAB and we will actually program this inside the MATLAB environment. So everyone, first and foremost, go to Canvas. Go to Canvas. And in the last class, I worked out a problem, a simple pendulum. Please download that file. download the simple pendulum file. I'm gonna change the screen and I'm gonna show you the MATLAB screen. So you should be seeing my MATLAB screen. Now open the simple pendulum file. So simple pendulum. In simple pendulum, you have run this first. Here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say undamped pendulum, compound pendulum. Undamped compound pendulum. Now gravity G is 9.81. Mass I will say 0.1. Now look at the Lagrangian. The Lagrangian is m times L square multiplied by THD stands for theta dot. So TH is theta, THD is theta dot. Now I want you to look at the Lagrangian that we just derived and tell me what should I change in that Lagrangian. What? Moment of, so can you see what I did? I changed the moment of inertia ml square by 3. ml square by 3. Theta dot square, remember there is 1/2, and L will now be changed to L by 2. Are you with me so far? Okay, there is a question from online student. No cosine to sine. Just look at your Lagrangian. Just look at this equation. So this is the most important equation that you need to look at. Remember the Lagrangian that we just derived? Make sure that your Lagrangian is coded here. Then run. And MATLAB will take some time, and then it will generate the script ODE1.m, and then it will generate the script. So if you go down to MATLAB, so you will see all these plots. So let me delete those plots for a second. So finally you should be able to get, it's still busy, it's working through the system, and then it will generate these plots. Then you should be able to get these plots. Are you able to get these plots? Any questions here? Yes. Huh? Yeah. So this is the same script that we started last time. The variables are TH, theta, and THD, theta dot. 9.81 is the gravitational constant. You have m, which is the mass, length, and then the only thing that needs to be changed is this Lagrangian. And can you see that this Lagrangian is the Lagrangian that we derived? And I will just write this on the board so that it's easier. 1/2 m L square by 3 theta dot square plus m G L by 2 cosine theta. So this is the Lagrangian that I have programmed. What sine theta? Who is
If you just go back to the one more, you can see that we have the data set.
Okay. If you go to the Lagrangian, this is the Lagrangian that we derived, and our differential equation we got that derived was partial L partial theta d by dt minus partial L by partial theta. Our Lagrangian has cosine. Lagrangian does not have sine. Yes.
So if we generate Lagrangian for like a robot that has more languages, can we basically just take that Lagrangian, plug it into this same program, and it will still solve it? Okay.
And that's why I have actually given you the examples of 5 different robots, and I'm gonna go through each of them step by step, just like that, and then show you that no matter whether it's a 3 degree of freedom robot, 4 degree of freedom robot, 5 degree of freedom robot, you can follow the exact same procedure. The only job, the difficult part is getting this language. Everything else is done by the code. As a matter of fact, you can go a step up and you can write a code that will generate the Lagrangian based on the geometry, but that will come next. Before I go any further, any questions here? No questions? Very good. Everyone understood how to write the Simulink code for this guy. So for my own satisfaction, I will show it to you again. So you open the ODE block, ODE1 block SLX, which is the Simulink block. And in Simulink block, let me share my screen. So in Simulink block, you will have this function. And this function, you will go to the library browser. You will go to the commonly used blocks. There you would have the ground. You'll pick this ground, attach that to time. Then you will actually look at the integrator. Connect this integrator over here. Then go to the scope block. Scope block over here. Attach the scope block to the output of integrator. And then actually take this Y and feed it from the integrated signal. Go to integrator and supply the initial conditions. And then when you run, MATLAB will do the real-time compilation, and then it will generate the plots. So if you double click on scope block, it will give you the plots. Any questions from online students? Okay, now let me solve the homework problem that you are currently trying. Let me give you a hint. My hope is that you'll be able to use some of this information and maybe able to solve the problem partially, and I can do the rest. Okay, now what is happening in the problem that I gave you? The problem that I gave you is actually a very simple problem. So that problem is something like again a pendulum problem. But let's look at a very simple case where you have a mass. You have a mass that is sliding in this direction. So you have a mass that is sliding in the radial direction, and maybe this link is rotating about theta. So what we need to do is, idea is the same. So let's look at a very simple case. I'm going to assume that this link is massless. So what I want to do is, I want to find out the kinetic energy of the mass and I have to find out potential energy of the mass. Now let's try to think about it for a second. How do I find out the kinetic energy of the mass? So link is massless. So this mass has two types of kinetic energies. And the one is the kinetic energy in the radial direction and the kinetic energy in the direction of rotation. So check this out. If this distance is r, do you agree with me that this velocity is going to be r theta dot? Do you agree with me? And the velocity in the radial direction is going to be r dot. And I want to give you a simple example. So imagine I have a pendulum, and then if I start rotating this mouse, and if I let this string go, the wire go, then what will happen? This mass is gonna have a velocity in the radial direction, and the mass will have a velocity in a circumferential direction. So mass will go like, so let me give an example. So if you have a mass that is free to translate on this slender rod or in this rod, this is massless. So basically, as we rotate this mass will have a velocity perpendicular to the direction of rotation, and this mass will have a velocity in this direction. So the kinetic energy is going to be, actually the problem is very simple. The kinetic energy T is going to be 1/2 m r theta dot square, which is the radial velocity in the radial direction, velocity in tangential direction, plus 1/2 m r dot square. Everyone understood this? Why am I considering this case? The reason I'm considering this case is I would convert this into your homework problem like this. This is your homework problem, right? You have a revolute joint and a prismatic joint. This is a simplification of the same problem. Any other questions?
So what do you consider that for the?
Yeah, I will add mass later. Hold. Bear with me. Right now, I'm just considering a simple case because link is massless. The mass, that blob, is located at the end. In next case, I would add mass to the slender rod, but still this will be massless. Next case, this will be a slender rod and there would be a piston that would be sliding out. Everyone understood? Okay, good. That way I can modify the code and finally we can get the same answer. So bear with me. So potential energy, same logic. This is my datum. V, can I write down minus m g r cosine theta? Do you agree with me? mgr cosine theta. Everyone understood this? Can you write the Lagrangian now? That's it. So Lagrangian is done. Lagrangian is equal to T minus V, which is 1/2 m r theta dot square plus 1/2 m r dot square. R, this is r dot, which is the velocity along the rod. So it has the velocity perpendicular to the rod, and the mass has velocity along the rod. Minus, so this becomes plus m g r cosine theta. Now here comes the question. What is the biggest difference between the problem we just solved and the problem we have? There are 4 states now. There is theta, theta dot, r, and r dot. Once again, the states are, can you see that theta is function of time, r is function of time, theta dot is function of time, and r dot is function of time. Everyone understood this? I'm going to repeat this one more time before I go. So this is a 2-degree of freedom problem. The number of independent coordinates that are required to specify the state of that mass m are 2, r and theta. You can't just find the location of mass based on theta or based on r. I have to give you r and theta simultaneously so that you can find out where that mass is. Everyone understood? Okay, now online students, the problem is done. Now I'm going to code this in MATLAB and then MATLAB will do the rest. So I'm going to switch to MATLAB. Fine. So this problem will be solved in 1 minute. So let me ask my online students, are there any questions? Oh, yeah.
Should this wait till after you get MATLAB? Let me ask you about the joint space tree.
Oh, joint specific studies, the material that was covered on Thursday.
No, this is for problem 2. Yeah, that was.
Yeah. That came from the material that was covered on Thursday, and I will solve that problem, some of those problems again. So, oh, okay, it's a point mass. Point mass does not have rotational kinetic energy. So point mass does not rotate about itself. Everyone understood this? So there is no I. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to MATLAB. Okay. Now here we are. We are inside MATLAB environment. And this is for the compound pendulum. I'm going to save this. as a pendulum with mass. The only thing is I will have to change this call function ODE. I'm going to call this mass. Okay, so let's write down. Now I'm going to go step by step. Please note, it's a 2 degree of freedom system. So there are going to be SY, MS, T, TH, R, and RD. This is super important. The state goes first. The derivative of state goes next. State goes first. Derivative of state goes next. And if you want to follow the examples, here in the same folder, so there are examples for double pendulum and the robot. So if you look at double pendulum is actually similar. So can you see that the state, the derivative of state, then the state, the derivative of state. So we are looking at pendulum mass. So state, then I need to write down the Lagrangian, which is M times R square multiplied by THD square just make sure multiplied by 1/2 plus 1/2 M times RD square multiplied by 1/2. Then mg r cosine theta. Just make sure that I coded this equation correctly. First is mass r r square theta dot square multiplied by 1/2 plus mass times rd square 1/2 plus mgr cosine theta. Everyone okay with this? So what I'm going to do is just I'm going to run this code, and I'll tell you the reason why. Just it's always a good idea to run this first part of the code to make sure that, so if there's an error here, that means actually I did not declare the variables. Oh, R must be included in the variable value. So symbolic variable T, THD, R, and RD. Yeah. Where is state? Oh, line. Oh, you are right. Yeah, correct. See, I forgot. RD. Yes. Okay. And then your equations are done. So let's see. Index seeds. Let me see. THD, THD, L1, L1, TH, TH2, TH2D. Okay. Oh, okay. Let me see. How did I write it over here? So TH, THD, R, RD. So if you run this code, once you debug this code, it should be able to give you the answer. I'm out of time. No more time to debug, but states RTH. And then we will actually, I will please try to work out this problem, or I will post the solution online. That is for today. I'm going to stop here. Yes.